It is 10:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Tennessee Vols are national championship bound, beating Florida State 7-2 on Wednesday to advance to the College World Series finals. Xander Sechrist was the winning pitcher, and Tennessee baseball is in the finals for the first time since 1951.
Tennessee says hello win column for a school record 58 times. And the work in bracket 1 is done in Omaha. Tennessee sweeps the field with a victory over Florida State, a triumph over North Carolina, and takes down the Seminoles once again to advance to the championship series.
That is John Wilkerson on the Vol Network call, as heard here on The Zone. Vols will take on Texas A&M in a 3-game series beginning on Saturday night in Omaha. Nashville Soccer Club took a road win at Toronto on Wednesday with the second-half comeback led by Sam Surridge scoring 2 goals for a 2-1 win. Nashville now up to 8th in the Eastern Conference. They will head back home to host NYCFC on Saturday. In NFL news, the Denver Broncos have hired former Stanford head coach David Shaw as a senior personnel executive. Shaw stepped down from the Stanford job in 2022 after spending over a decade as the head coach. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tennessee and Texas A&M for the College World Series title. That's what we have in store for us. We got to wait a few days to get there, but that is going to be the vibes in Omaha, Nebraska for the first time in a long, long while. Good morning. Hope everybody's off to a great start. We got Jackson. We got Lucas. We got your phone calls. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you've got the F&M Bank chat also at your disposal this morning. Hello, boys.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. For the first time, we may have a Tennessee athletics program that is BVS proof. Could it be?
Oh, no.
Not a
Don't
single
you put
drop.
that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Not a single inkling of BVS through those 9 innings yesterday. Drama-free. Tennessee jumping on Florida State, not letting go, and putting the Seminoles in a chokehold all the way to the national championship series.
It's true. It was never in doubt, but I am sure that you know more Vols fans than I do, and I know plenty of people who are sitting in their cars right now or listening to this via podcast after the fact or watching on Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch and saying, shut up. What do you mean BVS proof? Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Is that what you said back there earlier?
Yeah, don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Keep it out of here. Don't you even pose the thought that there is an athletic program at the University of Tennessee that is battered Vol syndrome proof. I won't believe it.
I don't know if there ever was one. This team is that. I mean, just the way that they have mowed through Omaha since that 4-run comeback in the 9th inning against FSU last Friday has been dominant. It's been methodical. And even the way the ball is bouncing for them in some moments. Like, things are happening that do not happen in big moments for Tennessee athletics. Blake Burke check swing goes Tennessee's way, right? Early in the game yesterday, should be a routine out for Christian Moore at second base. He kind of fumbles it a little bit, then overthrows Blake Burke at first, and then the ball ricochets off of the dugout fence and rolls back to Burke, and he's still able to make the play to second for the out. So just little things like that are bouncing Tennessee's way that we're just not very used to, and this team is playing for a national title for the first time since 51.
I'm in danger.
Stop it, Jackson. That is the mentality we're trying to avoid here.
I'm scared.
I feel like Lucas is representative of one half of the Vols fan base. And I feel like Jackson is representing the other half of the Vols fan base. I don't believe that there's that many people out there that share your level of optimism about Tennessee athletics, anything, at any given point, at any given time, because battered Vols syndrome is real for a reason. Perhaps we need to remind people what the symptoms of battered Vols syndrome are at some point throughout the course of the program. We'll do a levels check. We'll get to all of it. But for now, feels pretty good. 7-2 yesterday over Florida State. Never in doubt, to Lucas's point. They cruised past North Carolina in the 6-1 game on Sunday. They will play Texas A&M. And, you know, the way that this thing started was bat bleep crazy, to your point, with the 4 runs in the 9th inning and beating Florida State 12-11. You got the Dylan Dreiling walk-off single in that Friday game. And then there's Texas A&M on the other side of things, who's had a bit of a roller coaster ride themselves. Their first game, it felt like they got robbed of a potential go-ahead 2-run homer in the 9th inning. That Saturday, they went on to beat Florida 3-2 in that game before taking down Kentucky 5-1 on Tuesday, then getting Florida the hell out of the picture 7-2 on Wednesday. This is the first College World Series finals appearance for Texas A&M in their history. And so far, curses haven't really mattered. Curse of the number 1 seed hadn't really phased them. Seems to kind of bounce off their windshield like a cicada. just flying and stumbling about. So no BVS. BVS proof, he says.
Could it be?
Well,
Tony,
you know who you remind me of right now?
who's that?
Florida Panthers fans, who in their series leading 3-0 over the Edmonton Oilers started to get a little chesty.
Beating their chest a little bit.
Connor McDavid, he's overrated. He hadn't done anything. He hadn't accomplished anything in his career. 8-1 in the very next game. Just absolutely shelling them.
How about that game the other night?
That was electric. I honestly wish that we could come in on Wednesday and talk about that game because it was so much fun. That second period was as much fun as I've had watching hockey all season.
They're dragging the Panthers back to Alberta, as Connor McDavid said in the lead up to that game.
My point is that Florida Panthers fans thought they were planning the victory parade.
Yes.
Are you planning the victory parade for Tennessee baseball already? Because
I'm
you
not
seem
going
to
that
be
far.
Vols in 2.
I'm not going that far. Texas A&M is a damn good baseball team that Tennessee has met once this season.
Scared.
7-4 win for Tennessee in the SEC tournament down in Hoover against Texas A&M. Jim Schlossnagle and Tony Vitello coming together again. Schlossnagle hired Vitello when he was the head coach at TCU. So Tony, a former employee of Jim's. 58 wins, program record for Tennessee. They passed the 57 that was set in 2022 when they didn't even reach the College World Series. And Xander Sechrist has just been incredible in the postseason. Scoreless for 6.5 innings. He gives up back-to-back solo homers. Ends up being FSU's only runs of the day, and they ended up pulling him. But Xander Sechrist, for me, is the biggest reason why Tennessee was dominant the other day and fixing some defensive miscues early. Vols were sound in that regard, which they were not in the first meeting against Florida State, and they're able to hold through. And now 5 Tennessee players have hit over 20 home runs.
Crazy.
That is more than any other team in college baseball history, as Blake Burke, who will be on with us later today, hits home run number 20 yesterday in the 9th to cap the 7-2 win.
Yeah, Blake Burke on at 11:20 today, so make sure you're sticking around in the second hour. So the schedule, you've got Texas A&M and Tennessee game 1 at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, then an afternoon game on Sunday at 2 p.m., or excuse me, at 1 p.m. Central Time on ABC, and if necessary, game 3 on Monday will be 6 p.m. on ESPN. That Eastern to Central Time conversion really banging me there in a big spot. So, no BVS. Vibes are high. Morale is great. Nobody can stop the Vols. Blake Burke on at 11:20. That's the vibes today.
That's how we're opening the show.
No, that's not. That's how you're opening the show. Jackson doesn't seem like he's along for this ride. You seem to be It's like, so I have a unique experience because yesterday I took my cat to the eye vet, which I didn't realize that there was any such thing as an eye vet yesterday. But while she's getting ready to get eye drops in her eye, she's clinging to the blanket that they have wrapped around her for dear life, holding on to something for dear life. Please, God, don't drag me in this direction. That's Jackson right now with you, trying to be dragged into the idea that he should have no BVS around the Tennessee baseball program right now.
I will have BVS for the remainder of my life.
Kyle from Springfield on YouTube says, I just realized that BVS has no hold on Lucas because he's so used to Ferrari shooting themselves in the foot.
I am representing Ferrari, still in the race this season. But no, my Ferrari shirt today is in honor of Italy playing this afternoon in the Euros.
Do you two coordinate your outfits?
Yes.
Look at each other.
We have a Google Drive.
We do actually have a Google Drive, but not for outfits, ironically enough. No, I'm just representing the people that keep us afloat in Hattie B's, and Lucas is representing sadness.
Y'all do this often.
So
Match?
Yes, like at least once or twice a week.
Well, we've talked about this. He's inevitably going to become me. The transition is clearly in progress. It's in the mannerisms. It's even in the cadence sometimes. It's a tough scene for him.
I told you, we have a Google Drive. It is planned.
Just hang on to your hairline.
Lonzo in the F&M Bank chat, noted Tennessee hater, despiser, Lonzo with his Mississippi State profile picture, which has always been a mystery to me because it's not like Tennessee and Miss State have any sort of beef. Like, it has never been a rivalry.
Would you just address your issues with the people on YouTube for all the audience to hear?
No, Lonzo says, let's go Vols. Vols in 2. Is this
America's team?
What's happening here? How does the rest of the country feel? Like, because we hear a lot from Vandy fans who hate Tony Vitello, who hate Tennessee baseball, and I get why Tony would be the guy that you love if he's your coach and you hate if he's not. But I wonder how the rest of the college baseball country really does feel about this Tennessee team.
There's not, at least to me, the 2022 season was an anomaly because there was a polarizing team in college baseball. Because you hated Tennessee.
They were so easy to hate in 2022.
So easy to hate. So I don't really identify any of these teams that way necessarily. Or at least that made it to the College World Series. So with Texas A&M, I don't really look at them that way. Tennessee, I don't know that they're viewed anything. I don't want to say that they're feared because you're a competitor. You want the opportunity to compete, but that is one of the scariest lineups in the country, one of the scariest batting orders in the country. And so that's probably just how they're identified because they talk with their bats and they're loud. 615-737-1045 is the number. Just to remind people, though, perhaps you've forgotten what it is that BVS actually stands for. Can I hear the promotional material for Battered Vols Syndrome?
Do you suffer from flashbacks to a blocked field goal in 2009? Or wake up in a cold sweat thinking about a 2015 Oklahoma game? If this is describing you, you might suffer from battered Vols syndrome. Millions of people worldwide are affected by BVS. Symptoms include anticipating the worst-case scenario in every situation, shortness of breath in the fourth quarter, or nightmares about the Florida Gators. Let's hear from one former Vols season ticket holder who was affected by BVS so dramatically they had to change their collegiate fandom. Their voice has been altered to protect their identity.
I don't even know how this happened, man. We were doing so good with Peyton, and now every time I walk into Cracker Barrel and see them kids playing on them checkerboards, I just don't know what to do. I swear, man, I'll be watching football sometimes and they'll have a 12-man on the field penalty and wham! I'm right back there and North Carolina's about to kick that field goal to take the lead and win in overtime and I just can't take it. I root for the Hilltoppers just so I can have some sanity on football Saturday.
Tragic. Absolutely tragic. If you or a loved one suffers from BVS, do something today. For more information, call 615-737-1045. And remember, go Vols.
So many people trust Two Rivers Ford. Football players, working moms, business owners. Why? Because Two Rivers Ford has been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Check out the closest Middle Tennessee location to you. They are all over the place. Charlotte Avenue, close in proximity to us here on Demumbrian. Hattie B's also has the app that you can schedule your mobile delivery. And, Lucas, in the summer of cheese at Hattie B's, they are offering you free delivery right now via the Hattie B's app. I saw that the other day.
If I had to choose one way for my time on this earth to end, it would be drowning in the Drinking Buddy beer cheese at Hattie B's.
I really am concerned sometimes when we go to these Hattie B's locations and Lucas is just, he's not coming up for air. Like you have to remind him to breathe on a regular basis. It's kind of like when he does his updates and he gets a little breathless. You just have to slow down, buddy. It's okay. It's going to be okay. So, will Tom Brady feel the need to slow play it when it comes to his broadcasting career? Doesn't appear so. He's getting in on the UFL championship game broadcast for Fox because, of course, Fox is paying him $37.5 million a year to be the face of their network, essentially. Because it's not just that he's doing 17 regular season games and whenever Fox has the Super Bowl, he's the face of Fox for $37.5 million a year. And as a part of that, he's going to make appearances on Fox's platforms, which currently include Colin Cowherd's show. And he was on Cowherd's show yesterday. So he's given out all kinds of football knowledge. And we'll play some of that audio for you here in a second. But I want to start here first. You are a play-by-play broadcaster as your primary, mode of employment. You just kind of spend time around here for some reason that it's inexplicable to me. I'm trying to lessen that, but
You're my side piece.
Thank you. It hurts when you say it.
You don't want me, man.
That's what I'm saying. It hurts when you just say it so directly, when you have it out in the open that way. At least give me the guys that you're going to leave your wife at some point. This is particularly ironic given that you just got engaged to Megan. Megan and I are going to have a conversation at some point, it seems. Anyway, Tom Brady, as a broadcaster, play-by-play guy, do you, as a play-by-play professional, seek out games specifically because a play-by-play announcer is on them?
Not necessarily. I obviously have announcers that I trust, but that I trust will do a good job. But no, I'm not turning a game on because, for the most part, with radio, it is different. Like, I will seek out Sunday Night Football carried on the Zone with the Westwood One broadcast with Ryan Radke doing play-by-play.
He's good.
He is phenomenal. And Kevin Harlan, obviously, also phenomenal. So I will seek those out when I'm driving around. Like, I will rather listen to those guys call a game than listen to anything else, any podcast, music, whatever. But in terms of television, no, I care more about the game and the matchup. And obviously, I appreciate good play-by-play as well.
So play-by-play broadcasters are obviously different. Like, Joe Tessitore is fun on a Saturday college football game, but it's not like Joe Tess is somebody that you are going out of your way to see. He's not Howard Cosell. So as an analyst, are there analysts who, if they're on the game, you seek out their analysis either during the game, like you'll go to that game to watch this person break it down? Romo had a bit of a moment like this right when he started his career, because I think his first game was Titans-Raiders with Marshawn Lynch, and he was calling out the plays in real time, and then it became a bit of a social media phenomenon. And then, you could tell that the prep is starting to slack, and Romo's guessing some things not as accurately as he used to, and you got to clean it up a little bit.
I'm going inside zone here. They throw like a 20-yard out route.
And like Nance is having to adjust for things like that because, Tony brings great energy to the broadcast, but the shine has worn off a little bit with Romo, yeah? You would say?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But
still good.
People were drawn to Romo in the beginning because there was a lot of buzz about Tony Romo. So I think especially when it's a big name early on, people are attracted to that. They'll seek it out purely out of curiosity.
Which is my question around Brady. Because there has never been this level of immediate access to the greatest player at his position. Joe Montana did some broadcasting. He wasn't very good at it, right? He's not that dynamic of a personality. You don't have to be. He's the original Joe Cool, right? He's hey, is that John Candy on the sideline of the Super Bowl just to try and get the guys loose and stuff like that. And some of that stuff works, but it doesn't necessarily always translate. Emmitt Smith, excellent running back, not a great broadcaster.
Michael Jordan never really tested that out, right? Did he do any sort of broadcast work at any point?
Oh, I'm going to get exposed here because I'm going to say no. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But perhaps we have a knowledge gap there. Either way, there's never been this level of access to that level of greatness in real time. Tom Brady is the greatest, indisputably. He is Jordan in his sport. So is Tom Brady going to have any kind of sustainable ratings draw for an audience just because he's Tom Brady? Tom Brady's first game is what for Fox? Browns-Cowboys? It's an interesting game. There's plenty of compelling storylines. You're always going to have a level of intrigue around the Cowboys, whether they deserve it or not. And the Deshaun Watson thing. Like, if Watson is anything close to average, that's a Super Bowl contending team right away. That's one of the best teams in football. If Watson is even remotely functional. So Brady on that game is interesting, especially from the quarterback angles. You got Dak, who's potentially in a contract, who is in a contract situation, and you've got Watson on the other side of those things, and how Brady kind of dissects it, I'm fascinated to see. But I'm still probably watching it first and foremost because it's Deshaun Watson against the Cowboys as opposed to Tom Brady. That Tom Brady just happens to be on the game makes it that much more interesting. And I'm just trying to figure out if that's specific to us because we work in this and we don't often if you're listening to a Titans game, you're probably going back and watching it because you sit in the Titans radio booth. So you've got Mike Keith and Coach Mack in real time. I'm listening on a headset to the Titans radio call because we're sitting in an antiseptic press box where there's no sound, essentially just watching these games play out. And I need the radio call in my ear to kind of have context for something that I may have missed based on field position. But I wonder if fans feel any differently about that.
Early on, Tom Brady's going to be a big draw. Like just pure curiosity. Some people are going to forget that Tom Brady is venturing into broadcasting. And then people are going to be talking about it. And then people are going to seek it out just to hear Tom Brady be a broadcaster. The question is, late in the season, will that still be the case? Because I don't think the average football fan, if me, the guy that is obviously interested in broadcasting and is in broadcasting, I'm not really seeking out games because of the analyst. So
I don't think anybody does that anyway.
Yeah, the average football fan to me is not saying, Joel Klatt's on this college football game. All right, I need to watch this game because I want to hear what Joel Klatt has to say.
College football, I feel differently about.
I think it's the opposite.
I do think
I think it's the opposite. I think people are turned away. Like, oh God, Gary Danielson. People have this insane hatred for Gary, which, to be honest, I've never quite understood. I've always thought Gary was fine at his job. People very much have the Gary hates my football team opinion.
There are moments, especially when he's doing Georgia games, where you can kind of feel a little bit.
Sure, but I've never had this immense hatred for Gary. Some people have an insane feeling towards Joe Buck of animosity, right? And I think Joe Buck is a fine broadcaster.
I think he's excellent.
So I don't think people are attracted to games because of broadcasters. I think more people are turned off by games because they hate ex-broadcasters.
But they're not actually turning it off. They're just there to bitch about
whoever's
on the game that they didn't want.
Yeah, but early on, Brady will absolutely be a draw, just for curiosity's sake.
Tell me you've never just sat and watched a little Fox, what do they call it, Big Noon Kickoff with Gus Johnson? Gus Johnson's somebody who is seek-outable.
Because I feel the same way about Kevin Harlan, but I'm looking at that differently than I feel like the average fan is, right? Because we work in broadcasting. I think we all can look at a certain level of excellence. Kevin Harlan is excellent. Excellent. There is no better entertainment value, bang for your buck wise, than Kevin Harlan on football, basketball, whatever Kevin Harlan wants to do. Whether it's a stray stadium cat at MetLife sprinting across the field or a streaker getting tackled by a security guard, there's nobody better at it than Kevin Harlan. So, but even then, I feel like if I see Kevin Harlan on a game and it's just more of a reaction of, oh, what a delight. Kevin Harlan's doing this game. I get to experience this sporting event while also having Kevin Harlan. People probably feel that way about Titans games, and maybe this is more specific to smaller market stuff, because Titans are going to get C or D team on whatever broadcast network more often than not, right? Even on ESPN when they're the Monday night game. If they're the doubleheader, they're getting the two team. And so Titans fans will just try and sync up as best they can, Mike Keith and Coach Mack, on the broadcast while watching the television broadcast, and that's a little different that way. I'm sure there's plenty of local markets that do it that way. But on a national level, I don't know that I'm necessarily I'm past the point with Romo where I'm just looking to see what Tony Romo had to say about this particular game situation. I feel like I'll probably feel differently about Brady just because there's such a different level of special that I assign to him that I don't give any other player in that sport ever, that I'm fascinated to see, but at least in the early goings. Because if he doesn't deliver on that, then I'm going to be disappointed. And I already have sky-high expectations for him based on, the analysis that he's giving people like Colin Cowherd yesterday on his radio show. This was courtesy of The Herd on Fox Sports.
Is that this is subconscious, and you were able in a better spot to handle this. But I have been arguing for years that number one receivers, there's a duality to it. They're great. Randy Moss is great.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, even a great quarterback will feel to some degree he's indebted to get him the ball.
Always.
And I thought when Dak Prescott broke into the league, he was better without the great Des Bryant.
Right.
The pressure left. Sometimes receivers are verbal.
Yeah.
And Stephon Diggs I would take on any team.
Yeah.
But he's verbal. Brandon Ayuk is verbal on his social.
Sure.
And I want you to go to that as I have argued. Now, Justin Jefferson to me is too good not to sign.
Sure.
But I have always had this feeling, and if you could, subconsciously when Randy was there, he rewarded you. But Was there a feeling sometimes, where's Randy?
Sure.
I want to make sure Randy's happy.
Sure. Yeah, you always felt like you had to do something to get them the ball. And if they hadn't touched the ball in practice, I'd make sure, oh, God, hey, I got to get so-and-so ball because I want him to keep running hard. And I want him to be ready for when the ball does come. And, you see it a lot in NFL games. I've been practicing a lot of these games. I want to see the best players touch the ball early so they can break a sweat. They can get into the flow of the game. And good coaches do that. When you script plays at the beginning of the game, you're saying, okay, you're the Niners coach. I'm going to make sure McCaffrey touches it either first or second in the game. I want to make sure Deebo Samuel touches it first or second in the game. I'm going to throw it to him quick. Somehow I know the ball is going to be in his hands so he can do something with it. I want to get him into the flow. So we would always try to script so that everybody would feel like they were in the flow of the game. The last thing you want is your number one receiver to go 2.5 quarters into a game and not see a ball to get one target, because he's going to get discouraged. He's got to go out there. He's got to break the huddle. He's got to run out 25 yards to his alignment. He's got to run down the field as fast as he can, try to get open. He's got to run back to the huddle. It's a lot of effort that he's putting into not getting the ball. And I think when you can reward that guy early in the game and figure, okay, where is he at? How do I get him the ball? And there's certain guys that are really easy to get the ball to. Certainly the guys that line up closer to the ball, the tight ends and the slot receivers, there's way more route options for them. It's way easier to get them the ball because they can go to basically every part of the field. Whereas that perimeter receiver, he's got the sideline to deal with. He really can't break out. If he breaks out, he's got 5 or 6 yards to deal with. A receiver at the tight end position or in the slot, when he breaks out, he's got 18 yards to deal with. So you have much more space to get him actually the ball. So, it wasn't hard to get Welker the ball. It wasn't hard to get Edelman the ball. It wasn't hard to get Gronkowski the ball. It was hard to get a perimeter receiver the ball. If they decide that they want to take a perimeter receiver out of the game,
roll out coverage.
You just roll the coverage to him. You play cover 2. You jam him at the line of scrimmage with someone over the top, and it's very, very difficult to get that guy the ball. But that also gives up a lot of other things. And you've got to be able to take advantage of those things. And that number one receiver has to understand, okay, they're making a concerted effort to take me away. Therefore, my other teammates have to produce when they're playing these coverages.
So that's excellent. That's excellent. The thing, though, about television is he has to find a way to condense that. He just drowned you in analysis for damn near 3 straight minutes. And it's good. And I was hooked the entire time. He's not doing a podcast. He's not doing a radio show.
But to his credit, there he was. Right? That's with Colin Cowherd. That is a radio show. Sure. That's a television show.
But in that setting, he has room to work. What I'm saying is, in the television booth, he is not doing a radio show. He is not given the opportunity to expand at that length. So which is what I think makes Greg Olsen really, really good at this, which is, I think for people who are snobs about the television stuff, they probably are a little bothered that Greg Olsen is just getting bumped, even though it's completely understandable. If you're going to get bumped for anybody, you're going to get bumped for Tom Brady, no matter how bad or good he is. The ability to deliver that in a 30-second soundbite as opposed to 2.5 minutes like he just did there is the thing that I'm genuinely curious about Brady, because I have no question that he's going to be able to dissect every situation on the field. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get across right away in the kind of windows that television allows for.
Yeah, how does he pick his spots? How does he establish chemistry with his partners? To be honest, I did not watch the UFL championship. Did you?
I didn't watch the game live. I saw the highlights because Bleacher Report said, Tom Brady on the television, quick now.
So I don't know how that went, but the Romo thing. So you remember the Super Bowl. Tony Romo, at the end of that game, on the final call, McCall Hardman catches the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Romo's talking all over Jim Nance's final call of the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, the most important play of the NFL season. So moments like that, knowing when to pick his spots, when to come in, how to condense things. I'm not going to listen to him go for 3 minutes with Cowherd and say, oh, Tom, you got to do that in 30. It's fine to go 3 minutes with Colin Cowherd. It's a radio show.
Sure.
But can he do it in that condensed between play format? That is something that we don't know yet. That's what I can't wait to find out, because his opinion is going to hold a higher value than anybody you could put in that seat.
Anybody.
Right? Literally anybody on the face of the earth talking football.
615-737-1045 is the number. We'll go to the phones. Jason is an Uber driver.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Buck. Love the show. And I think, in just my opinion is, I think Richard Sherman was really good at this for a long time. You can kind of see him going in that direction. But when I'm a Niners fan, and used to when he was with Seattle. I couldn't stand hearing him talk. But when he went over to San Francisco, you were kind of glad that he had it. But regardless of who he was always that player that was really outspoken on the team. And you can see it carrying over on his podcast and also on a TV show that he's on. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I hope y'all have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Jason. We appreciate it. Yeah, Sherman's good. If he can just stay out of legal trouble, he keeps getting in the headlines. Didn't he have another incident after the Super Bowl this year?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, he had a arrest for suspicion of DUI back in February. But yeah, other than that, he has been good. Like, that television broadcast is good for how quickly it all came together with Whitworth, with Tony Gonzalez, with Richard Sherman and Ryan Fitzpatrick. All four of them, I think, operate well in that space, and they've got a good host to guide them through it in Carissa Thompson. So yeah, I think that I'm not worried about Tom Brady as a broadcaster at all. I'm just kind of curious as to whether he's going to influence how people seek out games, because he's different. He's different than anybody you've ever had in a broadcasting booth before. All right, coming up next, we are going to get into a hire that the Titans made recently, a couple of analytics staffers, and how they fit under Chad Brinker's structure. We're going to talk about it coming up next. Welcome back to the show on this Thursday. Hope you're having a great start to your morning. 615-737-1045 is the number. Don't forget, Blake Burke going to be on with us at 11:20. The Vols in the final series of the College World Series, getting ready to take on Texas A&M, having a no-doubt performance yesterday against Florida State, putting that to bed, advancing first game on Saturday. Titans did make some analytics staff hires that we'll tell you about here in just a second. Lucas, though, wants to immediately derail the show for a text message that you got.
Do you ever get texts sent to you that are very clearly like a spam bot?
Yeah.
That are calling you a different name and saying that they are a name that you don't know?
Yes, they're often trying to buy my house.
All the time.
Straight cash.
All the time.
Straight cash, homie.
They're often trying to buy my parents' house. I get texts about my parents. Hello, I'm interested in your property at... I just got this text, and I'm probably risking it just by opening it and reading it near my phone.
Don't click a link.
No link. It just says, Jenny, I'm Colleen. Are you coming for dinner tonight? I have eclairs, fruit pie, and your favorite Roman dishes.
Roman?
That is the content of the text.
So wait, are the bots so lazy now that AI is just writing the spam text?
That is 100% an AI written eclairs, fruit pie, and your favorite Roman dishes.
That all sounds delightful.
Yeah, where is this dinner?
It's at Colleen's house.
I was going to say, find this Colleen. We need the eclairs stat. I mean, I could do with some good Italian food.
Colleen,
Roman
yes.
dishes.
I will be there. Here is my social security number.
Ricky on YouTube, where you can interact with the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, says, I had one of those a couple of weeks ago. Idiot Garage on YouTube says, get them all the time about buying my mom or dad's places in Nashville or in Memphis. So is this specific? Are the real estate grifts specific to Nashville?
No, I get them from my parents' house in Birmingham, about my parents' house in Birmingham, but I get them from like Alabama phone numbers.
Okay. They're definitely getting smarter. It's pretty easy to tell, but I wonder how many people are responding, because they're just looking for a response, right? At that point, just to start like a conversation. Like, no, actually, you have the wrong number. Because I'm just picturing my grandmother getting one of these texts, and it immediately plunges me into like just concern and fear, because my grandmother is a very sweet and welcoming woman. She just figured out how to use emojis. She's a very big fan of them, okay? So I'm concerned that the AI bots and the spam real estate grifters and all these other things are going to be out here texting my grandparents or my grandmother or your grandparents or your grandmother, trying to, get them to give up their social security number. Because you and I laugh, but somebody out there is texting that number back and be like, no, I'm sorry, this isn't Jenny. This is actually Martha.
Patricia on the FNM Bank chat
That's
says,
my grandmother's name. Stop it.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Ppatricia?
Too close.
Patricia.
Get your phone away from you. The AI is going to text her.
Grandma Buck in the FNM Bank chat says, eclairs? Yes, I'm there.
So in on eclairs. Eclairs are excellent. So how are you going to respond? How are you going to handle this?
I send her a selfie, I guess.
With your social security number.
Right. Holding the card, yeah.
Can we talk about what we just had to do?
No, don't spoil it. Tomorrow's National Selfie Day.
I don't understand.
There's some very important content hitting the Zone socials tomorrow, and I don't want you to spoil it because you are a grumpy brat.
A grumpy brat is probably the best descriptor that anybody's had of me since that one guy on Twitter called me a liberal twerp. Is putting twerp after any descriptor the best way to insult somebody?
Underutilized.
Underutilized, absolutely. So, analytics, are they underutilized with the local professional football team? Many of you would argue yes in the last couple of years. Well, they certainly have restructured how the numbers are married to the football, and they continue to add personnel to that effect. So, I'm going to butcher this person's middle name, but the first and last are Aaron Davis. The Titan, and this is according to Seth Walder of ESPN, the Titans are hiring Aaron Davis from the Chiefs and Alex Rodgers as football analysts per sources. So this all falls under the department of Chad Brinker, who's got a wide range of responsibilities under his title of President of Football Operations. Of course, Rand Carthon also getting a promotion this offseason, having a more full range or full scope of the general manager job than he did in year one. And if you remember, Sarah Bailey, the individual that the Titans hired from the Rams, who is overseeing a lot of the analytics departments and research and studies, basically the R&D department for the Titans, who are way behind in this regard, and basically playing catch-up, trying to keep pace with the rest of the NFL, because they have been kind of reticent to embrace some of this stuff. And that was almost a point of pride for John Robinson at the time, remember? It's and listen, at the core of this, because anytime you start to talk too much numbers or too much math around the football, people get upset. Because nobody likes math, or at least most people don't seem to like math. And, in the case of baseball, is baseball the most overanalyzed professional sport that we have right now, where they've just drowned you in all kind of acronyms and all kind of different phrases and meetings and advanced metrics that just, it makes it learning is not, shouldn't be easy. But
there's not a sport more statistically driven than baseball.
If you're trying to get into baseball, it's really, really hard to do when they're just throwing a bunch of advanced metrics at you and saying, all right, now figure it out in this particular, and how the context applies to this game. Football's not really there yet. Football's been probably slower, at least of the three major sports between the NBA, the MLB, and the NFL, to kind of embrace this. And we've, in the last, 5 to 10 years, certainly, taken on more steam that way, but the Titans still felt like they've been lagging behind and moving on from Mike Vrabel, whose primary analytics department was stretch, John Stryker, and by the way, applicable. They found themselves in many specific situations, like going for 2, down 8 in Miami, that ended up being a critical part of that, and that the numbers played to their favor in those situations. But they're trying to get more cutting edge with it. And this is just a part of the movement to do so.
Walder says Davis worked as a data scientist on the business side in Kansas City and previously worked on the football side with the Houston Texans. And Alex Rodgers previously interned for the Phoenix Suns and worked as a data analyst outside of sports. So various different perspectives coming into the building.
Well, and it was funny because I was actually talking to somebody who was interviewing as a data scientist with a job, or for a job with the Titans, about this the other day, and just kind of understanding the vision that they're trying to achieve without necessarily the pieces and parts to get there. Not that it's unattainable, but that they have a certain ideal in mind of how they want their analytics department to be married and run with their football, with the football side of things, and that they're still a little behind on how they want to achieve that. So I assume that these two individuals are going to help them achieve that focus and the grand scheme of that. I couldn't even articulate it, even if I had more details than I do, other than the 1,000-foot view of it. But they are just trying to be more progressive, be more advanced, and you can tell that is clearly a focal point for this new administration, or newer administration at this point. 615-737-1045 is the number. So we were off yesterday, which means we didn't do the dumbest thing in sports. Can we do it today? All right, we'll do it next.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Tennessee Vols are national championship bound, beating Florida State 7-2 on Wednesday to advance to the College World Series finals. Xander Sechrist was the winning pitcher, and Tennessee baseball in the finals for the first time since 1951. The Vols will take on Texas A&M in the 3-game series beginning on Saturday night. A&M defeated Florida yesterday in Omaha. Nashville Soccer Club took a road win at Toronto on Wednesday with the second half comeback led by Sam Surridge, scoring 2 goals for the 2-1 win. Nashville now up to 8th in the Eastern Conference. They'll head back home to host NYCFC on Saturday. In NFL news, the Denver Broncos have hired former Stanford head coach David Shaw as a senior personnel executive. Shaw stepped down from the Stanford job in 2022 after spending over a decade as the head coach. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Let's be.
Sure is. 615-737-1045 is the number. All you have to do is call in and tell us the dumbest thing in sports this week. If they give us the best submission, Jackson, what do they win today?
A family 4-pack of tickets to NSC NYCFC this Saturday.
615-737-1045. Give us the dumbest thing in sports this week. Win a family 4-pack to that upcoming Nashville SC game. I will start with Bryson DeChambeau, who is the U.S. Open winner, who is in town for Live Golf, which I'm credentialed for. Are you credentialed for that?
I did not get credentials for that.
I guess I should probably go at some point. I need to text our buddy Connor, see what his weekend looks like, see if we can't skirt on out there to College Grove. Either way, Bryson DeChambeau in town doing some media with Nashville and has the U.S. Open trophy with him. Do you know what he did with the U.S. Open trophy yesterday?
I missed this.
He took it for a stroll down Lower Broadway in Nashville.
Oh, no.
He is walking the streets of our fair state capital among the drunks, among the urine, among the vomit, among everything else, the live music, everything that makes Lower Broadway a special and magical place. Bryson DeChambeau, you can see it on a couple of different Twitter accounts. Unclear whether he was just down there, seeing if anybody would recognize him, if he was down there meeting up with people who were in town for the Live Golf event or anything else. But yes, he had it. He had it on the rooftop at Aldean's.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is, of course, where you go to Stanley Cup style, drink copious amounts of liquids out of championship cups.
So he was drinking out of it on Broadway?
Well, I didn't see him drink out of it, but he did take it for a walk down Lower Broadway.
I'm seeing he is so unassuming. He's just in like a black T-shirt, just walking around.
He's got a giant metal trophy with him.
Carrying the U.S. Open
or
Cup
silver,
trophy.
I assume. What's the U.S. Open trophy made of? I would assume silver.
It looks silver. But yeah, he's just carrying it around in his right hand. Man, I wonder how many people recognized him on Broadway.
As many people as recognized the Falcons logo by calling it the Red Stallions in that Titans schedule release video. Probably not that many.
Probably more than that. I bet a good amount of people recognized Bryson DeChambeau.
I don't know. You think? I would. Okay, over under 100 people. Because I'm going way under.
Would you recognize him?
No.
If even carrying the cup,
unless he has a damn glove on one hand, like I'm not recognizing that's Bryson. Otherwise, I'm just thinking it's some fratty d-bag from wherever the hell coming down to drink on Broadway with his golf buddies or something like that. Somebody just played the Opryland course, came down to Lower Broadway, have a drink at Aldean's out of his giant. Maybe that's a fantasy football trophy for all I know.
That's fair. I bet. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
he's not wearing the hat too. Now he has moved away from the what do you call the hat that he used to wear?
No, is it like a Kangol?
Yeah, something like that. But now he's back to the regular.
He's just wearing a ball cap.
Just regular hat. But You're right. I'm
definitely not going to.
I probably would not recognize him.
We work in sports. There is 0% chance you would recognize Bryson DeChambeau walking down Broadway, even if he had the trophy in his hand. That's my dumbest thing in sports.
My dumbest thing in sports is the NCAA, because Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports reported yesterday the NCAA moved another step closer on the journey to expand the men's basketball tournament. He says NCAA leadership presented D1 commissioners with models that would expand the event by 4 or 8 teams as soon as 2025-2026. So not the upcoming college basketball season, but the one after that. I'm not going to ask why, because I know why. The answer is, Jackson, do we have the cash register sound? But we don't need this. We don't need this. Why can't we just keep a good thing in college athletics?
I can't believe that they're actually doing. I mean, I can. But
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, we're not asking why because we know why, but it's like, come on. We don't need to do this.
There's nothing that inspires. Again, it's not done for sports fans. That's the thing that I think sports fans have to remember every time news like this comes down. Well, the college football playoff is being expanded. Well, I was fine with 12 teams. What do you mean we have to go to 16? Well, it's going to be good for the sport. It's going to be good for the fan bases, this, that, and the other. No, it's good for your pocketbooks. Does anybody use pocketbook term? Dated term? Wallet, not even anymore.
Grandparent kind of.
Kind of what? You really landed the plane there, didn't you?
You stopped talking mid-sentence?
Just continue.
76 teams? Do we need 76 teams in the NCAA
I don't even need 64. I really don't even.
It's at 68 right now. It's just.
Oh, yeah, after the plan and all that. I don't need. Although Indiana probably still won't make the tournament, and that will be.
That'll be great show content.
It will just make me sad. We will have to put me on self-harm watch. It will be unpleasant.
But the one thing the NCAA does right.
It's the only thing. Is there anything else that they do as well as the NCAA tournament right now? The only thing that they have their name on that is still regarded with some level of
positivity, yes.
And positivity. The NCAA tournament. That's the only thing that you've got going. Anytime I use the term NCAA, it's a bad thing, except for the basketball. And they want to ruin that too. That's a shame. 615-737-1045 is the number. All you have to do to win a family 4-pack to the upcoming Nashville SC game at Geodis Park is give us the dumbest thing in sports this week. Jackson will give us his here in just a second. Lewis Hackney on YouTube saying that the dumbest thing in sports was Kelsey Plum getting grabbed around the neck and thrown to the ground, no foul called. So it's a national incident anytime it happens to Caitlin Clark. But if it happens to Kelsey Plum, it's just, Wednesday programming. Is that what we're alleging? Because I don't see that on First Take today. First I'm hearing of a bad no call against Kelsey Plum as opposed to Caitlin. That's why I think the whole Caitlin Clark thing is so overdone. Not because of any fault of her own. I just think people are stupid talking about this thing. Jackson, what's yours?
So Monday was National Mascot Day.
No, just like I don't know tomorrow's National Selfie Day. What is T-Rack running around here somewhere? Am I going to have to deal with the raccoon today, too?
So on Monday, Georgia football posted a photo of their 2 mascots in a compromising position. I really don't know how else to describe it.
It looks like the mascot is humping the dog. That is how you would describe it. Are you scared to say humping into a microphone?
Absolutely.
Like the human mascot in the dog costume.
It looks like the human in the dog mascot outfit is mounting the bulldog. That is what it looks like.
It's exactly what it looks like.
You're scared of that? What's wrong with that?
I just didn't want. I don't know. You got to tiptoe sometimes.
You're gonna bring it to the table.
Yes, the mascot is humping the dog.
No. It just looks that way. The mascot is not committing the act.
Are you sure?
It is important. Well, no, I'm not sure based on the photographic evidence there.
Where do you go from that photo? What is the next?
Not that the person in the outfit is actively mounting the dog. No, Jackson, other than it looks that way, that's not the place that my mind is going.
It's exactly what it looks like.
It's very compromising, the picture.
The replies in that tweet are phenomenal.
I mean, to their credit, they left it up.
They did not take it down.
No fear. Georgia said, you know what? We'll take the engagement at this point.
Respect.
No, I don't have a level of respect for that. For looking like you're leaving up bestiality content on your football program's timeline.
The replies are great. a lot of GIF of like.
Can we read any of them on FCC Safe Air?
This one. So there was one that was a GIF of the dog like slowly backing back into its cage.
If you're the social media person afterwards that posted that picture, do you look around and be like, what? Look at the engagement. Everybody's interacting with the tweet. We got what we wanted.
And like deleting it is probably some sort of admission of like, yeah, that was probably inappropriate.
Yeah, no, you can't take it down because then you've admitted that you've posted a picture that looks like, not is Jackson, but looks like the mascot mounting the actual mascot. Reckless speculation. 615-737-1045 is the number. Zach, it just says fired. He's
a firefighter. It just won't fit on the screen.
Important to say. I don't know where else I would have gone with that, but Zach is a firefighter. Up next. Hey, Zach.
Hey, fellas, that's me. Fire right there.
That's right.
Firefighter. Yes, sir. My dumbest thing in sports, fellas, it's got to be the Pistons dismissing Coach Monty Williams after 1 year, man. They paid him so much money, all that money, huge deal. Got all that money left on his contract, $65 million, 5-year contract. Unbelievable, fellas. Hate to be a Pistons fan. So many bad decisions being made up there. That's got to be my dumbest thing right there. Of course, they had a terrible season, but all things considered, all that money left, things going in a positive direction with Cunningham and that kind of thing. That's my dumbest thing right there, them firing Monty after one season only. Thank you, fellas. I'll hang up.
Well, stay on hold, Zach, so we can give you the prize if you win the family 4-pack to the Nashville SC. Well, it seems like he's going to be the only one that called in, Jackson. So why don't you go ahead and give him?
Congrats, Zach.
What the hell?
See you at Geodis Park.
So yes, it's a good one though. 14-68 were the Pistons last year. 14-68.
What was their losing streak? Like 29 games?
No, I think it was more than that. It was damn near an NBA worst, if not the NBA worst for consecutive games lost. Was it more? Anyway, so Monty Williams, they do fire him after one season. The NBA worst record of 14-68. They put out a statement. Decisions like these are difficult to make, and I want to thank Monty for his hard work and dedication. Coaching has many dynamic challenges that emerge during a season. Monty always handled those with grace. However, after reviewing our performance carefully and assessing our current position as an organization, we will chart a new course moving forward. 6 years, $78.5 million.
28 games was the losing streak. The longest within one season in NBA history. And remember, he got fired by the Suns, too. So yeah, he's getting paid from that contract as well.
Well, no, those tend to offset. Like if Mike Vrabel had gotten another head coaching job in the NFL this year, it would have offset the Titans' salary, contractual obligations to him. So I don't know that he's still getting paid from that job. He may be to an extent, Lucas. I just don't know the specifics.
So I know that was a $20 million plus buyout when he was fired in May 2023.
Yeah.
And then he secured that 6 year, $78.5 million deal, the largest coaching contract in NBA history at the time. And then fired 1 year later.
Pitiful.
A $65 million plus buyout, still not as much as Jimbo.
Jimbo. What's Jimbo doing this year? Is Jimbo doing TV? Please, God, put him on television.
He should do television.
I think he would be so much fun. He did one of those coaching simulcasts, right, where the A&M, I think he was either at Florida State or Texas A&M when they did you could watch a college football playoff game with him and his staff. I think ESPN did something like that. Jimbo would be a good one. Anyway.
Talks too fast for television. I don't know. He would be entertaining, though.
He'd get it out in 30 seconds for sure.
That's true. That's true.
Vols are playing in the College World Series against Texas A&M. They moved past Florida State with no question last night. Blake Burke, their first baseman, will join us coming up next.
Tennessee says hello win column for a school record 58 times. And the work in bracket 1 is done in Omaha. Tennessee sweeps the field with a victory over Florida State, a triumph over North Carolina, and takes down the Seminoles once again to advance to the championship series.
That's the call yesterday evening. Tennessee's 7-2 win over Florida State that clinches their spot in the College World Series Finals. Blake Burke, first baseman for Tennessee, joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Blake, thank you so much for doing so. You guys have had a ton of time off because all you do is keep winning throughout the course of this thing. What's an off day look like for you right now?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. Off days for us, I mean, there's plenty to do in Omaha. We're waking up, going to practice, lifting, and after that, just checking out the tents and stuff like that and enjoying the city.
I feel like when you talk about Omaha and you say there's plenty of stuff to do in Omaha, I feel like most people probably don't associate Omaha with a bunch of stuff to do.
I mean, during this time, they have a bunch of tents set up right outside the stadium. They have the zoo, there are restaurants that you can visit, and I feel like we're just enjoying ourselves and enjoying our company for the last week that we have with each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, important to do so, especially for the amount of history that you guys have made together. I know you were kind of the icing on the cake with your homer last night, but 5 guys with 20 or more home runs this season. Blake, what does that mean to not just you as individuals, but to the team collectively to be able to accomplish at that rate together?
I mean, that's pretty cool, and that shows how hard we work as a team. And there's not one guy that's just going to get the job done every time. I mean, Christian Moore gets it done a lot, but we also have other guys that can get the job done. And I'd say credit goes to Coach Q, the strength coach. Without him, we wouldn't have the strength that we have. And I mean, it takes a special group of people to get that done, because you need to work hard every day and show up every day with a mentality to get to work.
So, Blake, obviously it was your homer in the top of the 9th that marked the 5th player to have 20 or more this season. And I know you talked about this a little bit after the game yesterday. What were you seeing before hitting that home run in terms of what you were getting from that Florida State pitcher?
Well, I faced that pitcher the first game I played, and he threw me a lot of changeups. So early in the bet, I was looking fastball or changeup, and that's what I was getting. And then out of nowhere, he threw that slider, and I haven't seen that pitch yet from him, and I swung right through it. It was a pretty nasty pitch, so I told him, good pitch or whatever. I shook my head yes, and in the back of my mind, I've never done this before, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if he's going to throw that again, because I told him it was a good pitch. So next pitch threw me a fastball. I fouled it off, and I was like, oh, here it comes. So I was in a way geared up for it, and I saw it. I got my barrel to it.
Blake Burke, Vols first baseman, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Game 1 against Texas A&M is on Saturday. So you're seeing a lot of familiar faces on your path through this College World Series, Blake. What stands out about that matchup to you with A&M?
A&M, that's another group that we respect as a team. There's a lot of people on there that we know and we're obviously familiar with. They have a lot of superstars, a lot of pitching. Their bullpen's really good. I mean, you can't not be good if you're in the College World Series final. But I feel like we match up pretty well, and we're excited to get out there to compete.
For you guys, there was just so much electricity around the 2022 team, and I know you guys have been asked ad nauseum to compare and contrast and things like that. But is there a tangible difference to you, to the feel, to this path forward that you guys have had? Because you're doing it in a lot of the same ways, if not at a greater pace or a more record-setting pace than you did a couple of years ago.
I wish I could say one team was better, one team was worse, but I mean, it's kind of weird. I feel like both teams have like a different feel to them. I mean, this team is kind of, I wouldn't say deeper, but I mean, it's just got a different feel to it. And I mean, that 22 team was obviously very open about their emotions, and I think this team is very, like just dialed in on playing and letting some emotion go when needed. And I mean that's fine. That's kind of just part of a team identity. I just feel like we have a different identity than them.
For you guys, especially the ones who have been around for some time and have been working to, the ultimate goal, and I know you're not quite there yet, but how have you kind of managed those differences internally?
I'm talking about with the 22 team in this team?
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of like to learn from it. I mean, that's a really good team, and obviously probably one of the best college baseball teams of all time. So, I mean, I would say just picking up the good and the bad from that team and learning from that, and kind of just trying to make our own thing go. I mean, obviously that year we didn't even make it to Omaha, so we were trying to find different ways to get here. And the Tennessee team hasn't been in a College World Series final in a while, so we're kind of just making things up as we go and just playing ball.
It's interesting, Blake Burke, Tennessee first baseman, on with us, how you and Christian Moore have kind of grown within this team together, coming in 2022 and then fast forwarding, obviously, to now. What's it been like to kind of just emerge in the college baseball world alongside with Christian, and how do you feel like you guys complement one another back-to-back in the batting order, whether it's your style of play on offense or your personalities off the field?
I think that started very early. I think everybody in our class, melded or came together pretty well. And I mean, freshman year, me and Simo and Dickey were all battling it out for that DH spot. But by battling it out, that means we were just wanting to get in, but cheering for each other when we did get in. And I mean, it takes a special person to do that. Not care about your playing time, just caring about wanting to win. So I mean, I knew I'd like Christian for that. And I mean, throughout the years, even last year, we became close. We started SEC 5-10, but we didn't want to quit. So we kind of came together and talked about what we want to do and how we're going to change the course of the season. And then leading into this year, our big focus was, team chemistry anyway. So, I mean, we were always hanging out, always doing stuff together. So, it's been pretty cool to go through this experience with Simo.
One of the lasting images of this time in Omaha, however it turns out, is going to be Christian Moore and the reaction on his face in the dugout when he found out that he hit for the cycle on Friday against Florida State. Were you a part of that conversation at all in informing Christian that he did that? And how does that work for you guys? Is that like an unspoken rule where you do not let Christian Moore that he is a home run away from the cycle until it happens?
Honestly, I had no clue either. And I was hitting at the time, and I was in the box thinking about how the hell did that get out? I mean, the ball was not going anywhere that day, and he drilled that thing to center, and I mean, I couldn't get past the homer. But I mean, after the game was when I found out he hit the cycle, and that's obviously unreal. Hasn't been done in a while either. So, he's a special player, and we're happy to have him.
It's just so funny, Blake, the way that, fans get caught up in things like that in real time, and players, as you talked about, you're just dialed in, focused on what's ahead of you, especially this year's team, with the way that you guys have gone about it and the way that Tony and the staff have gotten you prepared for this moment. What's it been like to work under Vitello in particular throughout the course of this and now on the doorstep of trying to achieve the ultimate goal?
He makes it very easy for us. Once we get into postseason, he kind of just gives us the keys to the car and lets us go. I think playing for him is a dream come true. I mean, he's definitely a player's coach, and he lets you be who you want to be and who you are on the field, which just makes you better as a player. And I think that allows us to get closer as people and teammates. And I mean, the chemistry that we have as a team is unmatched, and I love playing for Coach V.
you guys have yet to play an SEC team in Omaha. You were the only SEC team on your side of the bracket. So now the familiarity comes in, right, where you play A&M, you face them in Hoover. How does that kind of alter preparation for you, at least offensively? Like, what are the next couple days like for you guys as you get ready to see a team that you just saw a few weeks ago for the first time in Omaha?
I think the preparation stays the same. Show up, have fun, be loose, play our game, and whatever happens, happens. If I had to do all the scouting reports and stuff, I think we'd be screwed. We have a good scouting tech people with Stove and McCann that they do awesome on scouting reports. So, I mean, that stuff just shows up on a graph for us when we're about to go hit. So, I mean, our preparation is just go out there, have fun, be loose, and play ball.
Well, Blake, we really appreciate you taking some time. Continued success and health throughout the course of this thing, and we'll certainly be watching on Saturday when you guys get started.
Sure. Thank you.
That's Blake Burke, Vols first baseman, here with us on 104.5 The Zone from Omaha. Game 1 against Texas A&M on Saturday night, like I said. A lot of people in the chat concerned. Oh, my God, he sounds so tired. Should I be worried? The BVS, Lucas. The BVS.
Get some rest, Blake.
It's in the chat. It's infiltrating everything. It's even infiltrated that interview. People just concerned because we woke Blake Burke up to do a radio interview.
It's 11:30 in Omaha. It's Central
He's
Time.
a college kid. I don't know. Just because you and I are old now and we wake up early doesn't mean the rest of the collegiate world doesn't sleep in until noon.
No, that's enough with the BVS, Jackson.
Scared.
That's kind of Blake's personality, though, and him and Christian are polar opposites in that way, where Simo is like the fired up, let's fight. He's chirping at the ump. He's chirping at the pitcher. He's chirping, talking back to his own dugout, and then Blake just kind of steps up, takes care of business. You got Blake, the West Coast guy, Simo, the Brooklyn, New York native, and they've both had as big an impact as any two players, at least offensively, for this Tennessee program under Tony Vitello.
Typical Meade on YouTube. I'm worried. He sounds tired. BVS. It's everywhere.
Also, there's got to be somebody in that dugout that like it dawned on them.
That had to know.
That had to know he was about to go for the cycle if he hit a home run.
So I'm always curious about this, like whether players are being honest with us or not when they say they don't know about those things in real time. Now, Blake Burke, I genuinely believe that he wasn't paying attention to that at all, and he's focused on what he's doing because
he's on deck.
He's hitting, right? Or on deck. So with the rest of that, because like Henry would do this all the time. Derrick Henry would do this all the time, and we would ask guys, what's it like when he's getting close to 2,000 yards or getting close to whatever touchdown record or whatever the case may be, and they're like, I didn't know it until we got in the locker room or something like that. I have to think that players go into a game, and obviously the situation played itself out throughout the course of the game in this instance, but that somebody is some way, shape, or form cognizant of what you're about to do. Now, I think in football, it's obviously different because despite there's not that much action in football. So you got a lot of time to sit on the sideline, look at an iPad. I'm not going to accuse anybody of checking their phone or something like that during a football game, but you got a lot of time to kind of stop and realize that this is about to happen between plays. Baseball the same, but I assume they don't have phones in the dugout, right? They're not checking Twitter stats and Mike Wilson's updates on social media throughout the course of this thing.
I guess not. There had to be. In baseball, a very superstitious sport, right? Like if guys going for a no-hitter, you're not discussing it. Tony Vitello has said he is not a superstitious person, but I believe that he's got more to worry about than keeping track of what Christian Moore is doing and how close he is to that type of feat.
Yeah, in-game probably.
There has got to be at least one guy in the dugout.
Well, where do the stats people sit? They're in the press box?
Yeah. But one player, like a Drew Beam, who's not pitching that day, that's just chilling in there saying, oh my God, he's got a triple. He's a home run away from the cycle. Christian Moore, another triple yesterday, by the way. Just that man is a triple machine. And what he's doing in Omaha right now, it has to be, I always wonder for these guys that are going to be first-round picks like Christian Moore, that are having a season like this, which not many players do, but I think Christian Moore, and I can look up the game logs, is 7 of 12 right now in Omaha. I saw the graphic pop up during the game yesterday that he was 6 of 11.
That's unbelievable.
I think he might have had a hit after that. But either way, the guy's batting 500 at the College World Series, which is crazy. You got to think that for a guy like Christian Moore, how fun that's got to be at the college level. And then how sobering it must be to get to the pros in like AAA ball.
Oh, my God.
And like, man.
Well, there's nothing harder to do. And I would argue that there's nothing harder to do in professional sports than hit a baseball. It's okay. You can scream out loud. Everybody knows they're watching you on camera make weird facial movements and expressions and stuff like that. They know you're watching soccer and not paying attention to our conversation.
I'm paying attention. I can do both. Denmark just hit an absolute banger against England to tie things up in the first half.
What is your hatred for the English, other than they used to be our colonizers and things like that? You know, and we removed ourselves from the shackles of English colonization. What is your issue with the British?
With all respect to my British friends, shout out Tony Husband. It is just the attitude of British soccer, of it's coming home and feeling like they are entitled to like major tournament titles, and the heartbreak that comes with England in major tournaments. And it's cruel because I can sympathize with it as a Tennessee fan, but it does seem like every single time they are in the Euros or the World Cup, it ends in absolutely criminally heartbreaking fashion, and how it just comes crashing down. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's kind of the entitlement aspect of it, but I don't know. I'm not going to root against the pesky underdog Danes against the Brits, who believe that they have ownership of the sport. The "it's coming home" thing just rubs me the wrong way. Anyway.
Does it sound familiar to Feels Like 98? A little bit?
We all got our thing. Stop it, Jackson.
He is the thing that he hates, is what we've determined in this segment. So we appreciate Blake Burke's time here with us on the show. And like I said, game 1, Saturday night in Omaha against Texas A&M. Coming up, college football Hall of Fame controversy. The rare June controversy. We'll dive in and discuss whether Les Miles, are we really going to talk about whether Les Miles or Mike Leach should be a college football Hall of Famer?
There's a lawsuit involved in this.
Find out next. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. So, college football Hall of Fame controversy. Not something you get typically in the June news cycle, but anytime that Les Miles and a lawsuit are involved, it's probably going to be worth us taking a look at. So, Les Miles has filed a lawsuit against LSU after he has lost his Hall of Fame eligibility, his college football Hall of Fame eligibility. So Adam Rittenberg of ESPN first reported the news, saying that he filed a lawsuit alleging the school's decision to vacate the wins his teams attained cost him the chance for college football Hall of Fame qualification. The news release called it an irrational and unfair self-inflicted punishment. It was previously reported that the possibility of lost eligibility in 2023, when the university first decided to vacate the wins, the self-imposed vacancy of the wins after facing penalties for improper recruiting policies. There was some problematic stuff around Les Miles, but instead of, being like, yeah, my bad guys, Les Miles, eating grass, filing lawsuits, watch out, College Football Hall of Fame.
I'm no legal expert, but doesn't there have to be some sort of proof of financial distress? Like emotional/financial distress for a lawsuit? Like to be able to sue a giant university for money? Like what financial? I don't think you get a bonus for getting into the College Football Hall of Fame. So I don't know what grounds Les Miles has to stand on here, as those 37 wins knocked him right below that 60% win percentage threshold that you need to be a College Football Hall of Famer.
Not quite.
I don't know. Maybe not taking the Kansas job is what the route he should have gone in wanting to be. Because if he had not taken that job, he would be above that 60% mark.
I forgot he was a coach at Kansas.
Damn right. What do you think his record was? He played.
They were so bad. They were so bad.
2 seasons, 21 games. What do you think his record was? In 21 games,
I bet he won 3 games.
He won 3 games. He was 3-18, 3-9 in 2019, 0-9 in the COVID year.
Jackson spoiled it. He told me in my
Oh, damn it, Jack. What?
Sometimes I want to throw him a college football, just throw him a bone on college football a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that renders me useless on this show.
Oh, does
it
that
makes
hurt?
it funnier when he surprises you with his knowledge.
Because Lucas expects me to know absolutely nothing at any given point about college football, which is how the first basically 3 years of the show went.
But the fact that Les Miles is legally campaigning to get into the College Football Hall of Fame and we can't put Mike Leach in there because he is right below that 60% mark is ridiculous.
Well, so I guess, do we like the barometer of 60%? Is that the first and foremost resume qualification for a coach who's getting into who's being considered for the College Football Hall of Fame?
I think we should do away with any hard and fast win percentage marks.
I'm inclined to agree. I don't like putting, and I'm not saying that Les Miles should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. You can make an argument if you want to, but
you can make an argument for, you can make an argument against.
Yeah. So, but that's not my point here. My point is about the restrictive nature of 60%. Because it's like Rick Pitino. Do you consider Rick Pitino a national champion at Louisville?
Yes.
You can never take that away from him, even though they did actually take it away from him. His place in history, the memories that team created, the experience of what it was for Louisville to win a title that year is not gone just because the NCAA vacated the wins. Now, Rick Pitino also has another championship and also has, a Hall of Fame career beyond just Louisville and winning the title there. But I almost look at Les Miles the same way. Is Rick Pitino less of a college basketball Hall of Famer if he didn't win 60% of his basketball games? No, of course not. That's ridiculous. Rick Pitino has a huge place in the history of the sport, top to bottom. Les Miles is not quite that figure, and he's definitely an imperfect messenger on this thing. But Mike Leach is a good example. Mike Leach absolutely belongs in the College Football Hall of Fame. His impact on the style of play that still permeates every level now of football, but in particular college football, should be remembered. There should be an air raid exhibit featuring Mike Leach in the College Football Hall of Fame. So for people like Mike Leach, I think the number needs to be done away. Les Miles being in the middle of all of this, trying to get into the College Football Hall of Fame through a legal route is not really,
hilarious.
Not really on my purview. I'm not out here screaming for, justice for Les Miles the way that people were screaming for justice for Reggie Bush.
Now, Les Miles is one of the more notable college football characters of the 21st century, like the Mad Hatter, the eating grass, all of that stuff.
Yeah, how much of that is just stupid because he had better football players than the rest of it? So it's nothing to do with the Mad Hatter, like some kind of evil genius or crazy genius.
He made all sorts of. I think of the fake field goal, and I can't remember the year. I wish I had better context for this. The fake field goal of the holder throwing the ball blindly over his head and the kicker running behind him and catching it to like things like that.
Yeah.
In certain moments that Les Miles earned the nickname of the Mad Hatter and the grass-eating stuff, all on top of it. There are people that make the argument that he won the national title at LSU, coasting off Nick Saban recruits, and it was only a couple years after Saban left. Saban left, I believe, in 2004. Les Miles won that championship in the 2007 season, and it was the only two-loss national champion in the BCS era. So I do think Les Miles deserves that type of credit. I'm fine with an argument towards Les Miles as a college football Hall of Famer, but it's the Mike Leach thing that I get way more upset about. It is ridiculous that a win percentage one notch below 60% is what would eliminate him from this. It's insane. Like, put it this way, if Mike Leach, who tragically passed away at the end of Mississippi State's season, if he had coached the bowl game, the ReliaQuest Bowl that I think they beat Illinois in that year, he'd be above the 60% mark.
That's garbage.
And they won that game.
With a team that he built and a program that he had been in charge of, all these things.
And his defensive coordinator, Kevin Arnett, coaching the team. So it's ridiculous.
This is like, a little bit different. But you remember how dumb it was that Luke Walton didn't get any credit for the games that Steve Kerr missed when he was the coach of the Golden State Warriors? Steve Kerr missed a significant amount of time with some kind of like spinal cord issue.
So those games go on Steve Kerr's record?
They're Steve Kerr's record. Luke Walton did not get credit. Those wins are credited to Steve Kerr on one of the better Warriors teams that they had. Same principle. Just completely ridiculous. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation. Buffalo is up next. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how you doing, Buck?
Good.
I took the Mrs. Buffalo over to Hattie B's on 8th Avenue a couple days ago. First time I'd been to Hattie B's. Got the half chicken, got the black-eyed peas with cilantro, the baked beans. She got the potato salad, and wow, that place is off the chain. That chicken was so good. I just can't thank y'all enough for the great big gift certificate y'all got me. I went and got a jersey.
I'm wearing the jersey now, Buffalo. It's a great look.
We were trying to get our bill up over $75 to make the coupon work. I was just, let's just get a jersey. So we got it up to about, $90, and then we gave them, their $20. And man, I just can't thank you enough. That was a really awesome experience. Hattie B's on 8th Avenue. Check them out now. I ain't kidding you.
Look at that. That's a better live read than Lucas has ever done. Thanks for the call, Buffalo.
I'm about to do it, and I don't know how I'm supposed to. I think we just.
I was about to say, did we just do the ad?
Just replay the phone call. Awesome. And he's right on every count.
Yes, absolutely. The black-eyed peas with cilantro. The cilantro is such an underrated part of that side. Excellent. Show fuel by Hattie B's. If you are a winner of the Feed Your Flock package, which we have not yet given away this week, have we?
Friday Fire tomorrow.
Friday Fire. So Buffalo said he got a $75 gift card to Hattie B's. You can be the winner of a $75 Hattie B's gift card tomorrow at, what time do we do Friday Fire? 11:45?
11:45.
11:45 is when you should be listening. More of your phone calls coming up next. And how close are we actually to an 18-game NFL season? College football playoff has a 12-team playoff and has already announced that it's going to expand. Is the NFL getting ready to do the same? We'll talk about it next.
Well, you just heard from Buffalo calling in, checking in about the trip that he and Mrs. Buffalo recently took to the Hattie B's on 8th Avenue. Glowing remarks from Buffalo, and he is absolutely right in everything that he said. The sides are the best in town. So Buffalo shouted out the black-eyed peas with cilantro. I almost said cheese. That's because it's the summer of cheese at Hattie B's. The fried chicken sandwich, whatever spice level you want, with pimento cheese, drinking buddy beer cheese on the side with crinkle cut fries. Go ahead and get the black-eyed peas on there as well. Or the pimento mac and cheese if you want to keep that theme going. The bacon cheese grits, the southern greens, the baked beans are so good. You really can't go wrong. Hot or not, pick your spice level, whatever works for you. With your favorite piece of chicken, tender sandwich, wings, or the half bird if you're hungry, Hattie B's is a family-run restaurant serving up your favorite Southern food and authentic Nashville hot chicken. It is the best in town. You want to skip the line, order for delivery, download the Hattie B's app. You can do that at any one of their locations. Factory at Franklin, which is now doing breakfast, by the way, open at 7 a.m. Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, and the Nashville Airport. Oh, and you get a free dessert just by downloading the Hattie B's app, too. So go see Hattie B's for your lunch today. It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Tennessee Vols are national championship bound, beating Florida State 7-2 on Wednesday to advance to the College World Series finals. Xander Sechrist was the winning pitcher, and Tennessee baseball is in the finals for the first time since 1951. The Vols will take on Texas A&M, who defeated Florida yesterday. That 3-game series begins Saturday night. Nashville Soccer Club took a road win at Toronto on Wednesday with a second-half comeback led by Sam Surridge, scoring 2 goals for a 2-1 win. Nashville now up to 8th in the Eastern Conference. They'll come back home to host NYCFC on Saturday. In NFL news, the Denver Broncos have hired former Stanford head coach David Shaw as a senior personnel executive. Shaw stepped down from the Stanford job in 2022 after he spent over a decade as the head coach of the Cardinal. Coming up later today on 104.5 The Zone, Titans quarterback Will Levis will be in studio with the 3HL crew from 3 to 4 o'clock. Be sure to tune in. 3HL coming up after B-Hop and Joe Hunk. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3 is upon us. Welcome in. We're happy to have you. How close are we to 18 games in the NFL regular season? It seems we are not that far away. Explain to you why we feel that way here in just a little bit. Joel Corry, former NFL agent, will be on with us at 12:20. We'll talk contracts. There's a couple of interesting ones as we head into the void, the darkness that is the 6-week NFL off-season period. We're almost through the first week. Are you excited?
Thrilled, yes.
615-737-1045 is the number. Jackson, Lucas, bogging the show down. As is the custom, your phone calls are welcome. Also, you can chat with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch if you're so inclined. So, if I said over under 3 years for an 18-game regular season, if by the time the Titans Stadium is scheduled to open, are you going before the Titans Stadium opens or after the Titans Stadium opens? Will the NFL be playing an 18-game regular season schedule? It seems we are on that track.
Oh, that is a great timeline.
Thank you.
Before or after the start of the 2027 season.
Right now, they're scheduled to open play. They should be able to play in that godforsaken thing by the 2027 preseason.
I'm going to say the NFL is at an 18-game regular season by the time the Titans kick off in the new Nissan Stadium, week 1, 2027.
So you're saying push?
Yes.
So they've wanted to expand the regular. They always want to expand the regular season. Why not? It's more money. More money, more game. More money. They're never going to be able to expand the 20 games, although damned if they don't try. But it's 20 games total, right? So however they do the math, whether it was 4 preseason and 16 regular season, now 3 preseason and 17 regular season, they're never going to be able to expand their inventory beyond the 20 and actually be able to look us in the eyes with a straight face and say, no, we care about player health and safety. So expansion, if they could have their way, they'd do 20 straight regular season games and call it done. Get rid of the exhibition, charge full freight for an NFL, for the television package, for the ticketing, for the merchandise, for all of it, and have the season start mid-October if they could, or mid-August if they could. Now, the NFLPA is the biggest roadblock that the league has because the players' union is bracing for the 18-game push, but not without their proper share of whatever it is that they're trying to seek. It's just a matter of time before we get here. So this is some reporting from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Per a source with knowledge of the situation, the NFL Players Association is already bracing for the 18-game schedule, and one of the things that the NFLPA has to ponder is whether and to what extent the players want it. How much more money is it worth to you to have an expanded regular season schedule is the question if you're the players. Because it's just going to expand how much of the share you get to have the additional inventory and all the television revenue that comes with that. But on the other side of things, and this is just, and I haven't been in any player association or player unions meetings, though I've reached out to a couple of guys who have been either current or former players, player team reps or union reps for each individual team. For example, Logan Ryan and Dennis Kelly were the union reps for here for a long time.
Wasn't Ramon?
I believe so. Yeah.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I believe so. So Ramon would have better insight. Ramon and Blaine would have better insight on this than we do. But the first thing that jumps into my mind is, well, if they're going to expand, they almost have to expand roster sizes.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion.
Like that has to come either first or along with.
Well, the money comes first.
Regular season.
How much more money am I making off this? Give me a figure and then we can talk. Then we can talk about the roster sizes. Now, if you're expanding roster sizes, does that cut in to the financial earnings potential of current players? One would think yes. If you're going to expand the inventory and expand the job pool, essentially, would it then not create less opportunities, even though it's in theory creating more opportunities? Would it not create less earnings potential for the players who are already basically in the league, who can rely upon being these kind of journeymen, where if you flesh it out and you expand roster sizes, and all of a sudden you start picking up more UFL and more CFL or all these other spring leagues and stuff like that, and there becomes an influx of personnel that you might otherwise not have had, does that limit any more the earnings potential of the players who are already kind of NFL caliber? Because it's not going to at the top. Maybe at the bottom it's already so turnstile that it doesn't really matter the way that I'm thinking it does, or thinking it might.
I feel like it kind of evens out in a way, because first of all, more games means more game checks. And you are taking away opportunity from the back end of the roster.
Yeah.
And opportunities to make a team as a UDFA or a late round draft pick. I mean, how many guys flash in a third or fourth preseason game that's what gets them into a 53-man roster?
It's honestly pretty rare. Here's what I'll say. It's rare that it gets them on that 53-man roster. It's not uncommon for another team to see that and be like, all right, instead of the guy that we thought we might keep, let's go ahead and keep this edge rusher from Jacksonville or something like that, because he had a hell of a game and he looks better than our guy. So I'll say it rarely makes a difference for the team that you're currently on, but that other teams around the league will definitely use that as an example of scouting.
I mean, you know who the preseason made a difference for last year?
On this team?
On this team. Who did the preseason make the biggest difference for last year for this team?
That's a good question.
Because I'm going to go with Julius.
Caleb Murphy?
Caleb Murphy. And I'm going with Julius Chestnut.
Chestnut would work. Chestnut wasn't on the initial 53, though, was he? Or was he?
He was. No,
That's
he was
right,
on the initial 53.
They kept an uncommon number of running backs. They had more running backs because everybody's pissed. What do you mean you're keeping 5 running backs or 4 running backs or something like that on the initial 53?
His week 2 preseason game in Minnesota, 13 carries, 98 yards and a touchdown, 7.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great.
And all I could talk about is not just, his offensive output, but his effort on special teams. Just a high effort player. There's one of those every year. Chestnut's a good one because Chestnut fluctuated. He was on the roster for a period of time, then he wasn't on the roster, then he was back on the roster and things like that. And by the way, that can make a difference. That can give you that sustainability.
And Caleb Murphy is another one.
Yeah, probably so. Because at least he was around and on the practice squad. He was active for 2 games, Caleb Murphy. Either way.
He had 1 sack in the week 3 preseason game against New England. And against Minnesota, he had 2 sacks. So weeks 2 and 3 of the preseason were huge for Caleb Murphy last year. the UDFA out of Ferris State.
The biggest line that I hear from players about this is that younger players don't have a problem with it. It's the older players where you talk about, all right, this is more work, more games, more potential time away from family, longer season. Well, if you're giving me this, then let's condense the off season and things like that, things that we talked about in the preliminary phases of this. I know Brian Callahan commented on the idea of basically getting rid of the 6-week window that we're currently in and condensing it into one longer training camp period in the summer before the season actually begins. These are the kind of things that are going to come up because the players are going to want and will rightfully need something to justify this. I just can't imagine a situation where it doesn't happen and where the money is not such where there's not the majority of players talking about, well, this is just my opportunity to cash in. Long term, I don't know that it makes the most sense.
How do you feel about it personally?
Oh, well, you can't ask me that.
Why not?
Because I'm going to think about it selfishly.
It's fine. NFL fans can think about it selfishly. What do NFL fans feel about it?
Well, more football.
More football. I love the idea of 2 bye weeks. And love the idea of the Super Bowl coming on President's Day weekend when everybody has the day. We won't have the day off on that following Monday, but the general public
Speak for
will
yourself.
have the day
You're
off
hosting
on
the show.
Monday.
If there's a Super Bowl on a Sunday with a Monday off, buddy, you're hosting the show that day. I'll see you. I'll tell you right now, you're working that day. I'm not working that day.
Jackson, you up for it?
Yeah, let's do it. It's always more fun when he's on vacation anyway.
No, I'm saying you host the show, Jackson.
Oh, yeah, all right. Let's do
Lucas
it.
doesn't want to be, he's not trying to be your ally. He doesn't want to work with you. He's not saying, oh, yeah, let's have a fun day without Buck together. He's saying, no, Jackson, you got it.
I do have fun with you, Jackson.
So that's lovely.
We have no fun with you.
The way to sell it to me is the 2 bye weeks and that Monday bank holiday after Super Bowl Sunday. Because my first inclination is, what if you're covering a terrible team? Or what if you're working with a terrible team and you're just dragging it out at the end? That one game, I know it's
that
one game. That
logic doesn't apply because then you're still covering the team for that amount of time.
I'm blissfully ignorant during the preseason. I'm still hopeful. I'm still optimistic. I'm still, all of the things. Morale is still high. And then when you get to week 12 of a terrible football team that has Andre Dillard at left tackle, and you're like, oh my God, there's still 6 more of these.
I could not disagree more. Terrible regular season football will always be better than even the most hopeful preseason football.
It's so bad. It's just so bad. 615-737-1045 is the number. So there's a variety of different players that are speaking both for and against this. Some of the most notable quotes from ESPN.com. Brooke Pryor of ESPN.com did a really good and informed piece on this from a variety of different players. Ryan Kelly, the center from the Colts, DeMonte Casey, the Steelers safety, have spoken out in a couple of different forms or fashion. So at this point, it just feels like we're going to get there. It's just a matter of the timeline. So you think 2027, when the Titans open, are scheduled to open, we'll see if it happens, the new Nissan Stadium, that we will be playing our first 18-game regular season.
You agree it's when, not if.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And Roger Goodell has been very outspoken about this. That
It's just like London. Like when, not if.
Right.
There's going to be a team in London.
So if it's when, not if for 18 games, I'm going to go with the sooner timetable than the later.
Yeah, I'm with that. Roger Goodell speaking on the Pat McAfee show around draft time about the 18-game, the idea of an 18-game regular season.
Because 17 games feels good now. Like at the beginning, I think a lot of players, and I don't want to talk for in the locker room, there's probably a lot of offensive linemen and things like that are telling me to shut the hell up. But as fans, it's like 17 games has just become like status quo. Is there a thought of adding another one, maybe adding another bye week so we can get more exposure, more TV deals, or are we good at 17 right now?
Well, I think we're good at 17 now, but listen, we're looking at how we continue. I'm not a fan of the preseason. I don't think we need preseason.
Waste of time, right? And energy.
I don't buy it, and I don't think these guys like it either.
Well, they have to spend full price for the tickets for those games.
No, they're actually discounted now. So
thank you for doing
we
that.
got that done.
Thank you.
That's
our commitment. That's our commitment.
Thank you. But the reality is, I think I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season any day. That's just picking quality, right? So if we got to 18-2, that's not an unreasonable thing. The other thing it does, which I thought you were going to, is that ends up on President's Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, which makes a Sunday night, and then you have Monday off. So that's wow.
Now we're cooking.
So that's Roger Goodell speaking with Pat McAfee at the draft in Detroit. 615-737-1045 is the number. We will be joined by former NFL agent Joel Corry, get his insights on this offseason, the quarterback market, the wide receivers, and how the Titans have a role to play. There's some interesting news, actually, to ask Joel Corry about the idea of a quarterback salary cap that the NFL is exploring. We'll get into that next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. If you didn't hear Buffalo plug it, I don't know what else, what other kind of motivation you would need to check out the nearest Hattie B's location to you. Lunch is officially upon us. You can mobile deliver Hattie B's to you as well via their app. Joe Corry, former NFL agent, will join us here in just a second. We have the opportunity to take some phone calls in the meantime before he does. 615-737-1045 is the number. Micah is up next. Hey, Micah. Hey, buddy. Oh, no.
Oh, no, Micah.
This is broadcasting phenom, Micah, right? This is. There he is.
All right, I was on mute.
Okay, you had it on mute. Well, we know that you're a broadcasting phenom, maybe not a phone technician. That's okay.
The Vols taking on Texas A&M in the finals, sweeping right now, they're 3-0 right now. But if the Vols were to lose in the finals, would you guys say they exceeded expectations?
Would I say so? Wait, just prior to the series beginning, Micah, they've exceeded expectations already. Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing.
Would you say they would have exceeded expectations? Like if they were to lose, go 0-2 in the series,
okay.
Would you say they exceeded expectations?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I appreciate the call. Always good to hear from Micah. So he said if they lose 0-2. Would I say that they have still exceeded
expectations? Or just if they lose generally, if they lose the national championship series.
All right, so tell me if I'm unfair here. The expectation is for them to win a title. They are expected to win a title. They're the number one overall seed. And, curse the number one seed, what have you. You can have that conversation if you want, and maybe that's the conversation that Mike is having on his podcast this week. But no, I'm not going to say that they've exceeded expectations because my expectation is that they win. There's not a program at that athletic department more capable, closer to winning a title than the Tennessee baseball team right now. Not basketball, though basketball has been close, or at least you could make a compelling argument for them. They've been the number one team at various points, even if they haven't been the number one seed. Football, TBD, for sure. That's a slow burn, and we seem like we're starting to creep into the place where Tennessee can have not outright championship expectations, but at least playoff expectations. Baseball, the expectation is not to just get there. We've talked about minimum get to Omaha. Now they have to win it. So I don't think that I would, if they lost in 2 games or if they lost in 3 games, if they lost, I would still probably hit them with they fell short.
They were top 10 in the preseason rankings, D1 baseball, behind 5 SEC teams. So are we if we're talking preseason expectations for a program that's never won a national title, to me it's a little different than talking about expectations going into Omaha, which absolutely should be win the national title.
We can get back to the college baseball conversation a little later on. In the meantime, we have Joel Corry of CBS Sports. You can read the agent's take at cbssports.com. He joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Always good to catch up with Joel. The contract, what's the more interesting contract storylines this offseason so far, Joel? Has it been the wide receivers or the quarterbacks?
Both. I'd say the wide receivers and Dallas doing absolutely nothing with Dak Prescott are the 2 most interesting ones to me because I thought the wide receivers would take a jump, but I didn't think it would be this many. Usually you have 3 or 4 players who were first-round picks get extensions after 3 years. Normally they aren't wide receivers. You had 2 of them. This year, the Alabama products, Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle, that was really surprising to me.
So I'm looking at this because we get a lot of questions. I'm sure you do too, whether it's on social media or however it is that people reach out to you for your analysis. The idea of the bubble popping at some point in the NFL. They have explored the idea. It's been reported that owners have eyed a quarterback salary cap, how realistic that actually becomes, remains to be seen. I would imagine that there would be significant pushback on the part of the players. But the idea of like the market bubble right now in the NFL relating to the contracts, because at some point, Joe, we're going to be talking about a wide receiver making $40 million a year.
Yeah, we are. But if the cap's going to continue to grow, then if you look at what the percentage of the cap is relative to what it had been in the past for other players, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'll take you back to Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson. In 2011, Larry Fitzgerald, highest paid non-quarterback at a shade over $16 million. And then the next year, Calvin Johnson barely topped him. If you adjust those deals for salary cap inflation, they're right about $34.5 million per year. You have Justin Jefferson at $35 million per year. From a cap standpoint, not much difference between now and then.
So with the Lawrence contract, Joel, this phrase has gone around a lot, and it's just the market is the market, despite the fact that Trevor Lawrence has not had the career to this point that a Joe Burrow has, even a Jared Goff has had, and he's now in that category of QB contracts. Do you buy that the Jags had to do this because the market is the market for that position?
Well, there's always been, for the most part, fear of the unknown with the quarterback position, that if you let things play out and don't sign your quarterback, then what's going to happen? Jacksonville doesn't have a history of having a lot of stellar quarterback play. The best quarterback has been Mark Brunell, and other than that, it's been fairly mediocre. Lawrence took a step forward in 2022. They were humming along, 8-3. They implode. He has a multitude of injuries, regressed a little bit. But if you look at what Kyler Murray got as the first overall pick when he did his deal a couple years ago, he was the second highest paid player. Joe Burrow, first overall pick, highest paid player. If you're going to treat him like the other first overall picks who got extensions after just playing 3 seasons, he was going to be up there, either highest paid player or second highest paid player. So from that respect, it doesn't surprise me. Jacksonville is probably afraid of the fact that if he puts it all together and has a true breakout year, whatever we're going to pay him today, we will not be able to pay that same amount tomorrow.
Joel Corry here with us on 104.5 The Zone. You can read his work at CBSSports.com. The Agent's Take, always a great and insightful column on the world of sports business. The Lawrence contract and the ripple effect, like you said, and I know you wrote about this very recently, on not just Dak, for example, but Jordan Love, who we've talked about here recently, Tua Tagovailoa, who is the only quarterback from his draft class to not be on a second contract at this point. Among those quarterback situations, Dak, Love, and Tua, whose negotiation is the most interesting to you?
I'm not going to say Dak because it's a non-negotiation because it hasn't taken place. I'm going to say Tua just because 2 other players taken in the top 10 as quarterbacks in his draft class got deals without playing a 4th year. There was good reason why he didn't do anything with Tua last year, the concussions. He had the injury history at Alabama, missed time his last year there. You had the concussions. He stayed healthy in 2023, played 95% of snaps, offensive snaps, led the league in passing yards, top 5 in completion percentage, touchdown passes, passer rating. But there's a school of thought he's a product of the system, and he's got maybe the best receiving tandem in the NFL in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They cleared the deck to sign him, to me, because you didn't put a franchise tag on Christian Wilkins and you let Robert Hunt go become a $20 million per year guard with Carolina, which is rare. If they were close to getting this thing done, they probably would have gotten it done already. He said he was a little antsy when asked earlier this month, and that's where the market comment came out in that same conversation. I don't think he gets to Lawrence. I think one deal which is going to be important to him is topping Jalen Hurts, the guy whose job he took at Alabama, who signed last year, $51 million per year. I don't think it's Lawrence, but I think he's going to be in the $50 million per year club where there's not a deal.
So for the audience that may not understand the intricacies, and especially since we're in Middle Tennessee and not Dallas, how could have, or what foresight would you have given the Cowboys ahead of this Dak non-negotiation? Because it seems like some of this, if not all of this, could have been avoided fairly easily.
Yeah, one, you got to get in a time machine and go back to 2019 and beat Russell Wilson in the market and get his first contract done after he played 3 years. But putting that aside, once you got to the point where you are now, everything else in the market was going to be irrelevant to Dak Prescott because he's in a unique situation that they gave him a no-trade clause. They gave him a clause where you can't stick a franchise tag on him if he plays out his contract. They restructured the contract multiple years and stuck voiding dummy years so they can lower the cap number in the year of the restructure. So if he plays out his contract and those voiding years actually void, they're going to have a $40.5 million cap hit next year for him to be playing elsewhere. So he's had a ton of leverage regardless. He's got the second highest cap number in the league at almost $55.5 million, and they only did a small restructure to lower it $4 million. I thought that they were going to re-sign him much sooner since he is the MVP runner-up. I can understand the school of thought being, well, we didn't win of him being $40 million per year. We're not going to – what do you expect if he's going to be more expensive? He's going to take up more of the cap. But Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks don't grow on trees. If I represented Dak Prescott, I would be inclined to want to play it out at this point because we're getting close to start of training camp. And I'd love to hit the open market as a 31-year-old quarterback in his prime. Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks in their prime that are healthy never hit the open market. I could name my own price if we were talking about Dak Prescott not being under contract next March.
At Corry Joel is where you can follow him on the socials. Former NFL agent Joel Corry here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
So, Joel, you wrote this week on CBS Sports that Packers quarterback Jordan Love probably has a better chance of surpassing Trevor Lawrence's deal. And I think some people may be a little confused at that. Not a former number one overall pick, older player with a smaller sample size as a starting quarterback. So could you explain your reasoning a little bit on why you think that may be the case as the Packers and Love try to reach a deal this offseason?
Well, if you look at the history of how the Packers have treated quarterbacks that they love, Aaron Rodgers, when he got his first extension, when nobody knew he was quote-unquote Aaron Rodgers, it was 7 games into being a starter, and they made him one of the 5 highest-paid players in the league. Packers missed the playoffs that year. Jordan Love, last 8 games, played at an elite level, then was the best quarterback on the field against Dallas when they upset the Cowboys, more than held his own against the 49ers when another MVP finalist, Brock Purdy, was the other quarterback. They made an aging Aaron Rodgers, although he was coming off back-to-back MPs, the first $50 million per year quarterback in 2022. The performance statistically of Aaron Rodgers in 2022 was not as good as what Jordan Love did last year. So you got a guy who is young in the last, basically been in the league 4 years, a 4-year vet. You have these dynamics what the Packers have done for quarterbacks. I see him become the highest paid player in the league with this deal. This is the one where the Lawrence contract didn't help the Green Bay Packers in terms of trying to get a deal done.
CBSSports.com is where you can read the agent's take. Joel Corry writes it on a regular basis there and makes us smarter about everything going on in the world of NFL business. Thank you, Joel. It's always good to talk to you, my friend.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
That's Joel Corry with us on 104.5 The Zone.
How about that? Jordan Love as the highest paid player in the NFL. What do you think the reaction would be to that?
Like Christian Kirk times 10. Christian Kirk got what? That took the NFL by storm for a week. Imagine if Jordan Love got the highest paid contract or the highest contract in football history. To his point, as long as the cap goes up, what argument is there for the owners to cap this thing? Like until at least the quarterback earnings. Because I get the argument you don't want to be spending so much of a higher percentage figure of your salary cap on one position if the numbers are going to continue to bloat. But if the cap space is bloating right along with it, then there's no real leg for ownership to stand on, which is why it's all, theoretical at this point. This was Tom Pelissero on the Rich Eisen show talking about the idea of that quarterback salary cap being discussed among NFL owners.
5. There certainly has been discussion within the league, Rich, among certain owners about even the idea of a quarterback cap, that at some point you want quarterback numbers to not go over a certain percentage of your salary cap. To my knowledge, that really hasn't gained traction, in part because so many teams have paid their quarterbacks. And if you went to suddenly an NBA model where all of a sudden you have the max and the super max, and there's really only a couple levels that guys can get paid at, it kind of changes the dynamics in terms of how you set yourself up salary cap wise and whatnot. So absolutely, there's been a discussion about exactly what you're talking about, which is how are we paying this much money to this position and to certain guys just because they're the next one up? And that's where that Trevor Lawrence contract for some people is going to be one of those moments where Trevor Lawrence matching Joe Burrow as the highest paid player in NFL history, given a little bit of the inconsistency we've seen from Trevor Lawrence, the fact that he and the Jaguars did not play well down the stretch last year, it does give some people pause, but it's also a reflection that the quarterback market, like the salary cap, is going to continue to go up.
That's Tom Pelissero with Rich Eisen talking about the idea being floated of a quarterback salary cap. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join in. Oh, is it already time for polls? How about that? Last call for phone calls. And an update. Those of you pissed about Bally Sports just stopping carriage of Preds games and Braves games. Basically, was that in the middle of the Preds playoff series? It was in the middle of a game of the Preds playoff series. It just went away on Bally Sports. So there's been an update on that you may find interesting coming up next. QC Kinetics is here to help you when it comes to managing that nagging joint pain. It's the worst time of year for you to be dealing with joint issues because you want to be outside, you want to be moving. Don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here at QC Kinetics, so call them today. They're the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Lasting joint pain relief is what they offer with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue so you can walk, run, hike, play golf, and move again pain-free. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. So stop putting it off and take action now. Live your best life again with QC Kinetics. Call 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045 is the number. So, there's an update on a story that is hyper-local, one would say, but is still important if you're interested in how it is that you get your hockey and your Braves broadcast locally. So, I don't have YouTube TV. Explain to me the disruption, if at all, that Bally Sports experienced on YouTube TV or on a streaming platform.
Yeah, Bally is not on YouTube TV.
Bally's not, so you can't even get it on YouTube TV.
No, like I have only watched Preds games through the Bally Sports app. And
the app
that's
is
been the
terrible,
issue.
yes?
Diamond Sports Group is currently in bankruptcy proceedings.
Correct. So,
and that's the group that runs Bally Sports.
That is why, for those of you who are watching one of those late night games where in the middle of the third period, the broadcast just ended on Bally Sports and you had to switch over to the app if you wanted to watch it. It is still Bally, I believe. I haven't checked Bally Sports in a while. I haven't had a reason to, but I don't think you can get the Braves games right now on Xfinity if you have Bally Sports as a part of your Comcast package. So, Diamond Sports Group, like Lucas said, is the owner of Bally Sports. They're the rights holder for the Preds games. They filed Chapter 11 back in March after failing to make a $140 million interest payment to lenders. So, that sends the regional carriage agreements into chaos. Comcast loses Bally, or pulls Bally, essentially, from its lineup. Preds fans remember that very well. The options have now started to expand on how they're going to broadcast. They could broadcast over on a free over-the-air station in Nashville, according to a source. If Bally Sports is unable, and this is Alex Doherty of the Tennessean who's reporting this, if Bally Sports is unable to carry Predators games next season, and if the Predators are able to find a local partner, anyone in the Nashville broadcast area could watch Preds games for free. Now, you would want a television deal that isn't giving your product away for free. But they have to figure out something. The Vegas Golden Knights have a direct-to-consumer option called Nighttime Plus. So it's like Apple Plus, Hulu Plus, whatever the case. All the pluses. Where fans can subscribe, they can watch the non-nationally televised broadcast of the Golden Knights games on a local over-the-air station. So basically, they've got the broadcast in-house. They also simulcast it over the air on radio to give fans two options to watch or listen to the game. They'll offer local broadcasts on over-the-air stations as well as streaming on Amazon Prime in Seattle. So there's a number of different options that are available to the Predators, and Bally Sports seems to be at the bottom of the list. I'm just assuming the Preds aren't going to be back on Bally.
It's going to be interesting to see what route they go and if they kind of try to follow what some other teams around the league have done.
Now, Carl on Facebook Live says, I'm watching Braves on Bally's with DirecTV. So apparently a non-payment for Diamond Sports Group has not affected their DirecTV distribution, but it has affected their cable distribution with Xfinity. So I'm not sure what the differentiation there is, if that is indeed the case. Worth paying attention to just in terms of how you get the Preds games. Ready for some polls?
Polls presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Do you think Tom Brady will be a good broadcaster? 76.5% of the audience say yes.
I'm optimistic. He's pretty good on the UFL broadcast. He was in there for a couple of series with him, and I didn't watch the full game. I just got it on social media after the fact. But, there's no question that Tom Brady understands the rhythm and pacing of a football game to be able to broadcast. It's just whether or not he's going to be able to disseminate all the information that he's got in his head to an audience in a way that hits without bogging down the broadcast, and I think he'll be fine.
Is this Tennessee baseball team BVS proof? 54.8% say no. Eric in the reply says there's no such thing. The other shoe hangs above us all. JC Latham Enthusiast on Twitter says, I wish, but no Vol program is immune to BVS. Andrew says no one is, but now is not the time to discuss this. Go damn Vols.
Yeah, I love the people who are just scrolling their Twitter timeline being like, I haven't even thought about it. What do you mean? Just go beat Texas A&M. Don't give me the BVS talk yet. Let me get through this series, and then we can talk about how I was feeling at any given point.
There was BVS early in last Friday's FSU game, really until the comeback, but it was smooth sailing against UNC and yesterday against Florida State. Who is more deserving of being a college football Hall of Famer? 70% say Mike Leach, 30% say Les Miles.
Yeah, it's for sure Mike Leach. Even though Les Miles has the championship as a head coach and Mike Leach does not.
It's the Pirate.
It's not. Okay, it's got nothing to do with his nickname, Lucas.
It's the Pirate.
Just because they call him the Pirate, you're going to put him
No, I'm just saying the Pirate. That is the answer. Like Mike Leach is more deserving of being a college football Hall of Famer. He has more of an impact in how college football is played than Les Miles.
I agree. I made that argument earlier.
How close is the NFL to an 18-game regular season? Within 3 years, within 5 years, or within 7 years or more? 75% are going within 3 years.
Yeah, I'm with the 75%. I can't imagine a world where the Titans' new stadium opens theoretically, allegedly, in 2027, and we're not playing an 18-game regular season schedule.
Now, I did see this from Front Office Sports today. 6 NFL stadiums have switched from turf to temporary grass fields in order to host Copa America matches coming up, starting tonight, actually. Argentina and Canada, USA plays on Sunday, and the same will be required for the 2026 World Cup. FIFA requires natural grass on the field, and all these games that are going to be played in NFL matches. Front Office Sports asked the question, as more NFL players call for a return to grass, could teams make the switch permanent? Could that factor into NFLPA discussions in extending the NFL regular season?
Well, fortunately for the Titans, they have a couple years to figure it out because they kind of blew the opportunity on the World Cup hosting situation with the lack of clarity around the stadium construction at the time.
Yeah, be interesting. Soccer requires natural grass, so NFL stadiums are going to have to be doing it anyway.
What is it about soccer that requires natural grass?
It is largely injury related, I think. I mean, isn't
that the argument?
Well, it's a matter of consistency, I think, in the way the ball travels across a field, in the injury rate. You know, it is interesting always in MLS, like European players and coaches that come over here hate the artificial surfaces that they have to play on across American stadiums.
That is fascinating because there's way more money if you can make that viable. If you can make your venue viable for international soccer. Now, it's not that often that you're getting a World Cup, obviously, but still worth paying attention to.
By the way, big result for Nashville SC last night, 2-1 at Toronto. Sam Surridge with 2 second-half goals. And as they continue to look for a replacement in manager Gary Smith, who was let go in May, interim manager Roomba Muthali has done a really nice job of steadying the ship. They'll be back to host NYCFC Saturday.
All right, so you can hear that on 104.5 The Zone. Lucas and Will on the call. Those the polls?
Those the polls.
Excellent. That is the show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you missed Blake Burke, Vols first baseman, if you missed Joel Corry, former NFL agent, you can check those out in the podcast feed of the radio show. And if you're interested in more of my yapping, primetime tonight, A to Z Sports at 7 p.m.